welcome to Flooring Models Kit Review Time. Today we're going to be looking at some tools, and specifically we're going to be looking at the UMM USA brand and different bits and pieces they've done. Now recently we've been working very heavily on the actual Focke-Wulf 190, the Rebel 132nd kit, and to be honest the kit is pretty boring, very plain. There isn't much detail on all the rest of it, so it needed re-riveting. Alright, so at this point I must admit I went out and I bought a couple of the Rosie the Riveters, and we have looked at those and we've reviewed them on their own, but we're going to have a little bit more of a deeper look because I've been using them for around about 2 weeks now and I've totally fallen in love with the product. So much so I went out and I bought, as you can see down here, some more. So I went out and bought the duplicate and triplicate wheels in various sizes as well, as we can see up here. Okay, John at Wojtek at UMM actually got in contact with me and said, look, thanks for the great review you've done. I'm going to get your order out to you ASAP, because I did actually pay for all of these, $100 I might add. Okay, but he sent me a few other bits and pieces, so I thought I'd go through, and some of the other stuff I've had off of this company in the past. Now, a little bit of a disclaimer here. John has sent me a lot of these items you can see in front, but a lot of them I've paid myself. All the Rosie the Riveters I've paid for myself, and the scribing tool you can see down here, which you see me using a lot of these which is known as the SCR02, I bought myself. The 01, he supplied me that one, and the other bits down here. So from that point of view there is. I know a lot of you have had problems with their postage policy and things like that. It's because they have more of a domestic audience, shall we say. So they're used to posting things technically to the USA, so when it comes to being abroad it can be a little bit expensive. Again, talk to John about it, I'm sure he can sort you out, because they have a sort of flat rate shipping thing, and very quickly it can get ridiculous when you're buying something that has no weight and no packaging, but because of the way that their shipping is done on a flat rate, you can pay a lot of money to have this shipped over to the UK, Europe and things like that. But again, speak to John about it, I'm sure he'll be able to sort you out. So what have we got down here? Just starting over. So John's actually sent me this stuff. Now this here is actually lead wire. Now we've used lead wire before, obviously various times, but this one is a standard sort of 0.2mm lead wire, coiled up just around like that. Seems to be very nice. Again, I know a lot of people have trouble finding lead wire in the smaller sizes, because let's face it, you can use things like soldering lead and various things in the bigger sizes, but when you get down to this scale it's quite tricky to find it. So he sent me a roll of that. Let's face it, lead wire at the end of the day is lead wire. He's also sent me down here this little guy. Okay, so this actually is, I can get into it, first out the bottom, technically just an aluminium bar. Now the whole point with this thing is to actually use it as a flat surface for sanding, so you can actually put your sanding paper around it, okay, and you can actually use it. The other thing you can do is, obviously if you've got some of our sanding sticks, the skinny sticks like this, you can put it onto the back of it and hold it into place. All right, that's where we need a buster. Okay, so buster over here, he is that. You know, for this type of point of view, if you wanted to have a positive hard edge on this one, or we're thinking down in intakes, you can actually get this bar down in here like this and you can sand it. All right, so if you were doing, just pick an area and you wanted to sand, I don't know, so we've got this little blemish just down on here. All right, we've got the coarse side of the medium. You can actually come in and sand it like that, okay? Alright, so as you can see, just through all the different layers as you would. So technically all this is doing is holding it in a position, but you've got different edges on this one. So you've got a more of a narrower edge, you've got a point on it, and all the different bits and pieces. But we do, this has got to be 6mm. But if you did want to put loose things around it, and actually I've got any here, I don't think I've actually got any here, but I'll tell you a good one for that would be our sanding sheets. Okay, so if you had like our sanding sheets, what you could technically do, just thinking about this, is just cut yourself a length off of this, just like this, and you could technically either glue these on or wrap around the actual area for doing inside intakes and various things like it. Okay, so you could go in there and sand them just like that, but it's quite nice because it's on a length. But if you did have a longer piece of perhaps wet and dry paper, sandpaper, things like that, that's actually what that is for. Okay, so I think they do these in different thicknesses as well. All right, so that's those. The other thing they've got as well, they sent me, is this guy, which is, where's my little crib sheet for this, which is the chisel. It's a micro chisel, and again, it's extremely sharp, okay, to the point where it looks like a screwdriver, but trust me, this is extremely sharp. So if you used to be doing it on something like poor Buster here is about to meet his maker, but if you were taking out surface details, things like that, or generally going in, as you can see, that is extremely sharp. Okay, that's just rolled that up beautifully, and then obviously you could use it for removing surface details, all the bits and pieces. But the big thing I like about this one is the handle, because it's a nice positive handle. You can do it for digging in and everything else like that. And let's face it, other chisels that we've seen tend to be bar metal types and you can't get in there. Okay, so there's that. What I would probably use it for, more than just attacking Buster with it, is to actually removing things like surface detail. You know, if you've got like photo etch parts and you need them to be flat, but sometimes they're a bit tricky to get in there, tools like this are absolutely great. But again, it's a nice comfy handle. You can get hold of it really, really positively. So to be honest, my usual way of doing it would be using one of these, which is fine and works extremely well, one of these micro chisels like this. But again, it's very hard to get a positive grip because the shaft of it is very, very thin. No sniggering at the back, okay? So that's what the problem is with that one. So it's very hard to get in there. This guy though, because it's a good, solid, chunky thing, and with the ribbing texture down here, I know, okay, it's really easy to get a grip of. Okay, so you can actually get in there and dig, scoop, and positively move it around. It is just like holding a pen. This has always been the drawback. It's so thin, it's very hard to actually get hold of, to hold it, okay, because of what it is, okay? So definitely a very good touch. I'm not sure if they do different sizes on this one. No, they don't. Looks like it just does the 1mm on that one, but as I said, if they did do different sizes, it would be great. I know obviously with this bar one, they actually do various different sizes. He hasn't actually listed which ones it is, but I think this one obviously must be like a 6mm, and then it goes right up to a very big one. All right, so that's those very handy little tools. So your part number for these guys is UMM 27, and then obviously they do a fine, a small, that's a small, so they must do ones even smaller than that, which is quite nice, and right the way through. This particular guy is a UMM 12, okay, it's a 1mm beveled micro chisel. Again, really, really nice, we do like that. Okay, so that's those. The other thing they've got here, I'll tell you what, we'll look at the scribing tool next. Now, a lot of you know I use this. To be honest, we've been using it extensively on the last build, which we've been doing with the actual Fokker Wolf, okay, which is my one of choice. I like it. This particular blade is great because you can come in, you can have it like this, and if you're doing a panel line like leading edge of wings, which I need to do on these, you just insert into the groove, you can see it on the other side, and you can wrap it and roll it right over the surface, which joins up your panel lines on curves. Okay, literally just like this. So you're rolling it around, and I am actually doing this live because I need to do it on this particular model. Okay, and you can do it. So there's nothing worse when panel lines stop on leading edges of the wings. You might be able to see we've got a little bit of wash both sides, but what will happen is, we'll do it on all of these, you just come in and you can roll it right the way round. And then if you wanted a deeper panel line, obviously what you can do is chisel it out. So you're actually going to come in and rescribe it out, but at least you've got a guide now for this to go onto. So that's how I love it, and it works an absolute treat. So I'll just do this last one just around here. There we go, modelling whilst you're reviewing. And then what you'd actually do, you can come in then switch to the other side, okay, and then very gently just follow the panel line all the way round. And the nice thing I like about these is you can literally do it freehand, okay, and you can take them out just like that. All right, so that's why we've been using the SRC 002. Really, really nice, no problem at all. And I've had this one now for a couple of years, and it is still as sharp as the day I've got it. This is the other one. This is the first incarnation of it. As you can see, comparing the two, you might be able to see that obviously they're a different shape. This one's a bit thicker, okay, it's got definitely more of a hook on it, pronounced hook. Both got the blades on the back, which my only downside is they can be quite sharp, so just be careful on how you're holding it and gripping it. But also you can see it's thicker in the body, and the thickness of the metal actually used. This one, as you can see, is a lot thicker than this one that we've been using. But again, very nice tools to use, and to be honest, I have this guy down in here, so we're just going to test it. Okay, again, we're just going to place down, pop this in. Beautiful lines, and what I'll do afterwards, I'm going to come along and I will do it, but if I put some dirt in there off my finger, there we go, you can see, hopefully see a little bit of the line down in there. If we do one more, very nice indeed. If I take the standard one, you can see, beautiful job. If I'm honest, I prefer my usual one, but it may be that I'm used to using it. This second one just feels a little bit thicker. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put in here, this is, and you should find a thinner pen really, O1, that's an O2. Okay, so we can see exactly when we get the wash on this later, exactly how they're looking. All right, so that is those, no problem at all. Very nice, very handy tools to have. Okay, next as we make our way across here, we've actually got the punch set, which we had a bit of a play on the live show. Okay, and I know a lot of you are probably saying you shouldn't be punching through styrene sheet with it, but this is where this comes in. This is the metal sheet. Okay, you can literally pop a bit of this down, put your punch right over it. So we're just going to come in the corner here. We'll take a hammer. Okay, give it a tap. And there we have, if I grab it with a pair of tweezers, might be handy to show. Proper tweezers. Okay, as you can see, we've actually got punched out a perfect disc. Okay, literally just like that, thin metal. So what we're looking at here, guys, you're thinking your aftermarket, your sort of various bits and pieces, but hopefully you can see that is a beautiful, clean, punched one, just like that. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to do one more. All right. And don't forget, you can. I'm going to do one more clean out, and then what I'll do is I'll show you. Probably overhitting these, but force of habit. Okay. Again, you can see beautifully done, punched out. So again, you're looking at your aftermarket bits, various things like that. You know, for adding detail, scratch building, all those things, just like that. Okay. And then we just pick out a couple of other shapes. So here we've got a square. This is working a lot better on something thinner. Okay, as you can see, a perfect square. No problem with that at all. And I love this. This here is heavy enough. I assumed it's just that obviously a little bit of turned aluminium or aluminum. I should say aluminum really, because this is American. But you can see it's handy, but it's stable. It doesn't move. It's not like I feel I have to hold it. So, you know, that works really, really well. Okay, then this guy here, that's the square. This is the rectangle. Okay. But it's not just a rectangle. As you can see, it's curved edges on each edge. Okay, fantastic. No problem with that. Clean, sharp. Now the thing is, that is the basic set, which to be honest is this one here. Okay, so you're actually, what you're going to get is the base and these three. This one over here you can have as a obviously alternative shapes, I assume, down in here, or I suppose you could actually just turn these guys. I don't know if you can turn these guys around. Never thought of it that way. Don't think they are. But that's those, just like that. And then he's actually also got in here different hex ones, which I really like. And I'll be honest, and this isn't just me saying it, when I was going around his website last week when I was ordering this stuff, I looked at this and thought about buying it, but the last minute I was like, oh well, we've spent enough. But he's read my mind beautifully and got me two others. Now the reason I'm thinking of this, again, just scratch building, but a lot of sci-fi work, this will add beautiful detail. So this here, again, we just pop in. Nice easy one, that one. Okay, and this is the tiniest little hex. Hopefully you can see it on here. But bolt heads, guys, this is what this is. I don't know, I don't want to push my luck on the camera, although you know me, I'm just about to. Okay. So hopefully you can see that little tiny hex, just like that. And then what I'll do is, let's pick another. See the difference in sizes, and hopefully you can see the hex on it. Alright, so let me just pick out one more. If I do, just peel these off the back. Okay, let's just do two big ones. Obviously you've got all the different sizes ranging up, but I want to cover all the different sizes here. Okay, so I'm just going to pop this guy in here. It hasn't come through. It's basically through. Obviously the bigger you go, the more troubles you're going to have. There it is. Okay. Alright, so let's just have another go at, which one was it? Was that the big one or the small one? Can't remember now. Oh, what the hell, let's go full hog. Let's go straight in here. There we go. Sometimes you think you overhit it, other times you obviously underhit it. But the great thing about this rubber, as you can see, it just holds it in place just like that. Alright, so when we take these other guys, if I can get them, there's your squares. You can see your round ones. Okay, and there's all your different sizes. But you know what we're looking at here is obviously doing things like, as we were saying, scratch building, various details perhaps you want to add to your model. By using these thin aluminium sheets, you can come up with these great little sizes just in there, just like that. Obviously, how well you can see these, but these are beautifully machined on the ends. Okay, I imagine these are going to last a lifetime again. Again, it's not the cheapest things in the world, but you're paying for quality and a lifetime's worth of modelling tools. So that's the point of these. So again, chisel sets, absolutely fantastic. We love those. Right, and then lastly, what brought us literally all to this was the riveting. Now, this is the little size chart as you can see down here. So it goes from 0.4 right the way up to 1 mil. So you can have them as singles, doubles, which have the red centers, or you can have triples, which has then obviously this pattern, again going through all the sizes. All right. So what I've done is I've bought, if I remember rightly, we've got the 7/5s in all the sizes. Okay, so this is your 7/5s, as we were looking at just on this sheet. Okay, all right. So there they are down there. So again, you've got metal centers, red centers, yellow. That's how you can tell the difference as we can see them just here. Okay, so that's how it works, as I said. So what we're going to do is we're just going to have a whiz up and down with this guy. Okay, so this is the single. So we're just going to pop him in and whiz him up. Okay, then we're just going to pop up with the double again. Okay, I've got to see myself now where they're going. And in with the triple. Trying to hold this down. On there like that. I don't know how dirty my finger is. Not dirty enough. Alright. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab a little bit of our wash. Okay, I'm just going to pop a little bit of this in all the riveting lines and the various bits. Okay, we're just going to let this dry off. Okay, and then what we're going to do, come back, wipe it off, and we'll have a look. Okay, so the wash has been on now, literally about 10 minutes. Sped it up with a hairdryer a little bit. Still a little bit tacky in places, but I think we should be okay. So what we're going to do is, I'm hoping this is clean. Okay, so to start off with, if you remember, we used these two guys. So down here we've got the UMM SCR01, and my original one which I had off of them, which is the SRC2. Okay, so that's these guys down here doing panel lines. So what we're going to do is just see exactly what we've got. Hopefully not rubbing off the thing. So there we go. That's our panel line washes. Done just like so. Okay, and as we can see, we've got no problem with both of those. Not the cleanest of cuts as compared with some other ones. Now, I'm not going to turn around and say these are the best things in sliced bread, because if you want a very fine, extremely detailed cut, then the Holly Alex scrapers like this guy is your one to do. They're a lot finer, but the thing is they're quite difficult to get hold of because they are literally like a piece of photo etch with a bloody sharp blade on the end, okay? But so if you wanted something very fine and detailed, that's probably where you want to go. But as you can see, for general panel line detail, it's brought those out absolutely no problem at all. And if you look on the close-up, as you can see, it's pretty nice. No problem with that whatsoever. Okay, so that gives you an idea. So really there is no difference in the panel line cut, and if we're honest looking at it, the 01 looks like it's done a slightly neater job than the 02. The 02 I can feel over, it's a little bit sort of, you know, on the surface. Hopefully you can hear it a little bit, okay, but generally a very nice clean cut. Now over here we've got the riveting detail. Now I'd say it's still a little bit wet in places, so we just get rid of these. Okay, so this is the 0.75. Okay, right the way over this, which is, to be honest, what we used on the 190. You can see in front, but there we go. That gives you a very good idea of what we actually get here. So having a good look at it, as you can see, we've got some very nice line patterns. So you've got your triplicate going right the way through, so it is staggered like we could see on the diagram, this one here. Okay, this is what this line is, running right the way up here. Then we've got the duplicate, okay, and then we've got the single one coming all the way down, which is technically what we did on this control surface, this wing on this guy, okay, was using this actual scale. But as you can see, the way that that triplicate does it, it's so fine, there's no way you could actually do that by hand. It would be near on impossible. Okay, so over on this side, as you can see, we've got the 1mm, the 0.55 and the 0.65, so we can do just the same and have a look just to see what we've got in here. And not only does it upscale, that as we go around here, as you can see, that it actually upscales the riveting hole itself. So it's not just the distances apart. Okay, so you can probably see the 1mm, that distance, 1mm apart, all the way down there. Nice big holes, okay? And then as you say, we've got the 0.55 running all the way down here, and we've got the 0.6. Now the only thing is, as you notice, you've got a gap every now and again as it goes through. And that is because if you look at the blade, there is a gap 3 times through here. You might see it just on the tip as we go through. All right, so there is a gap, so it is leaving you one missing. Now, is that a mass problem? I don't think so, not in the big scheme of things. Okay, I assume this is where the photo etch attaches to it, the actual piece where it's stamped out. Okay, but the thing is, you don't get it, as you can see over here. On the 0.75, we don't have that trouble at all. It is solid all the way through. And also we don't seem to get it on the 0.65 as a duplicate, but we've got it on the 0.65 as a single. All right, and we have got it, so it's very noticeable on the actual 0.55. Little bit obviously on the 0.65 as a single, not really noticeable in the actual duplicate, but it's strange how it's not consistent between all three across the board. Okay, so as you say, 1mm no problem at all, heavy missing ones in the 0.5, 0.6 on the single, not so much on the duplicate. I couldn't get hold of the triplicate, otherwise I would in these scales. There was no triplicates available at the time of me ordering them. 0.75, no problem whatsoever with that when we worked our way through with it. But I'll be honest with you, this is my preferred scale. I like that. I think you could get away with that on 1/32, definitely. If I was looking at more the 1/48s and things like that, then I'll probably be downscaling to, I should think, something more along the lines of this particular guy at the 0.65s. And then if you're going to be going in for various things under that, like 1/72, then obviously you're going to be down to obviously the 0.5s, which they do, or the 0.55, of which we have here. Okay, or even down, right down, very small if you wanted to the actual 0.4mm, which I haven't got because I think it'll be just too thin. This guy over here for the actual 0.1mm, I think it'd be great for that. The big bulky jobs, all aircraft have them occasionally where they don't have, you know, small little riveting. It's more like, you know, marks into hatches, things like that. If you were doing like a 1/72 jet aircraft, these would be sort of access hatch latches and things like that because of the scale of it and everything else. Still, like I said last time, the great thing of these, we've got straight lines here using a template. You can use them freehand, and obviously when we did this guy, there's a video up on about me showing it. A lot of it I did freehand because it's just so easy, and this, it just doesn't wobble. Now there is different versions of this out there. This is the one with a handle on it. It's a little bit more expensive. All right, it's a lot expensive, but it works. It is so comfortable. It's a good solid grip. So when you are going freehand, as we did on this guy, pretty much everywhere, like all of these down here, this is all freehand, all the wiggly ones. To be honest, all these ones around the tail sections, all these diagonal ones coming down, they're all freehand. Freehand coming across the back here, there was a lot of freehand work running right the way across all of this. Okay, so there we go. But that is the riveting in anger, so to speak. It works just so easy. Okay, and sometimes, let's face it, we're all in that sort of guilty thing where you look at a product and you think, oh, it's far too expensive, but you're quite happy to go out and buy a kit. Okay, what I would highly recommend, and as I say, I know John has sent me some freebies here, but I have paid for all the Rosie the Riveters, is that I would say invest in good quality tools. It's like an airbrush. Let's face it, we've all had the Chinese cheap knockoff airbrushes. They work fine the first time you use them, and then 6 months down the line, they're just horrible and they fight you. Good quality airbrush, you have no problem with it at all. It makes your life easier. Again, riveting with me, I'm guilty as the next one. I had cheap, tacky riveters and always hated doing it, so I would avoid it. This time though, right, we're going to get hold of a good tool, we're going to go through, and again, I've got rid of one of my demons of modeling, you know, which is now riveting. Before, I would avoid it, and I would avoid rescribing. Nowadays, I've got good rescribing gear, I've got good riveting gear, so I'm more than happy to take on a project like doing something of a basic model. This is a Revel 1/32 Focke-Wulf, which has no surface detail on it at all. It's got some over-egged panel lines, and they're bad, and everything else. But then we've gone round and done this to it, where we go in there and say, right, okay, we're going to put in all the details that are missing. So you take a cheap, pretty nasty in some ways kit, and suddenly, bang, it's up to a par. It's no different from a Hasegawa, a Tamiya kit, or whatever. Just by spending half a day having a quick re-rivet, you've raised up the bar and you've turned a £20 kit into a £50, £100 kit by adding the detail. But instead of then worrying about it, I now got the correct tools. I could do everything, all the different patterns, dual line, triple line riveting, things like that. Having the riveters here is well worth it. So next time you're thinking about quality tools, really have a think and think, right, how can I improve my range of tools? Is it going to be that I can then turn my kits and take them up to that next level? Because I could have just painted it, but it wouldn't have been at that level. The level of detail isn't there in the kit, but now we've actually gone there by spending the cost of a kit on some good quality tools. So again, I do have to thank John at UMM for sending me these over. As I say, it wasn't requested, very kind of him to do that, but I would highly recommend these punch sets because they are just absolutely exquisite. On this, to be honest, there's a couple of times I would have used this for details on that again. The riveting, as I say, Rosie the Riveter has changed my life. Since getting them, I've now spent, well, $150 on riveting tools, but it's a one-off purchase. It will last me a lifetime, and I think they've paid for themselves already on one kit. So definitely from that point of view. Their scribers, again, absolutely fantastic. I use them all the time. The little chisel tool, I love it because it's handy. You can actually get your hand in there, and it's more of a positive grip. I would feel more comfortable. It's a bit like the handles on these. If they were small little you know, normal handles, the sort of cylinder ones, I think it would be too thin. You wouldn't be able to get a grip. These, they're wooden handles, they're light. You can really get in there and get a good comfortable grip, and it boosts your confidence. The chisel, again, exactly the same. I think I was taking off surface detail, you know, things like that. I would be quite happy to come in here freehand and just pop it off because I've got a good grip on it, so I do like those. The metal bars, really can't comment, but it's quite handy to have a bar that you can actually wrap some tape around if you want to get into some areas. And lead wire, I know a lot of people have struggled finding it, but obviously you could go down fuse wire routes and all the other bits, and there is market ones out there, so again, it's personal choice on those. But there we go, that is the UMM range of products, Roby the Riveters, the actual multi-shape punch set, which is a joy to use, very, very straightforward, very, very easy. All of it highly recommended.